Hello and welcome to the Legacy Crusaders YouTube channel. This is Benji, and today I'm joined by Omace of MBT's Chalice Line Monthlies. At least that's where I know you from. We're going to be playing Virtual World today, so if anyone's new to the series, I bring someone on who knows how to play a deck list, and they tell me what to do through a few games on Yugioh Pro, and I try to ask questions that you, the audience, might have about the decisions that we're making. I don't believe your deck list looks particularly odd, but we'll do a quick card by card. If anyone would like to order these cards, there is a TCGPlayer affiliate link in the description down below. We have 1 Driver, 3 Lili, 3 Lao Lao, 3 Lulu, 2 Nyan Nyan, 3 Gigi, 3 Ash, 3 Gamma, 3 Kowloon, 3 Talents, 3 Desires, 2 Foolish Burial Goods, 1 Called by the Grave, 3 copies of King Long, 2 Infinite Impermanence, 2 Chuche, and 1 Zanwu. In the extra, we're on 1 Kaliga, 1 Zulkin, 1 Shenshen, 1 Vermilion Dragon Mech, 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, 1 Juju, 1 Coral Dragon. I'll try my best. These names are hard to say.
Yeah.
1 Coral Dragon, 1 Stardust Charge Warrior, 1 Muddy Mud Dragon, 1 Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder, 1 Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger, 1 Utopia Beyond, 1 Ptolemy M7, 1 Fan, 1 Fortune Tune, and in the side we're on 3 Gamma Seal, 3 Lancia, 3 Droll, 1 Feather Duster, 2 MST, 1 Anti-Spell, 1 Imperial Order, and 1 Red Reboot. Before we get rolling, Omace, are there any odd choices in your list that you think other people may or may not agree with that are worth addressing before we get rolling? And maybe we can address why that those decisions are there. Like some people might see that there are 41 cards here. I think Dragoon is commonly played in these lists. Anything else that you can think of that might look odd? I'm not a VW player. I don't really know.
Yeah, okay, so I'm on 41 just because I'm very stubborn and I don't like cutting cards. So if you want to cut something, you can probably cut a Talents because it's a little bricky, but I really like Talents in combination with Gamma because it makes your opponent really scared to hand trap you, and it gives you a very good chance of just punishing your opponent for hand trapping you. If you want to cut the Foolish Burial Goods, you probably could, but I also like that for consistency as well. In the main deck, it's pretty standard. Some people choose to run like 3 Chuche because they don't want to banish everything off Desires, which is, fair. But other than that, the main deck is pretty standard. In the extra, I'm not on Dragoon, I'm on Kaliga instead, because the Kaliga Crystal Wing setup is an FTK and it's like 90% of the metagame, and it just lets Drytron not play the game, which is good because that deck is really like an obnoxious matchup for VW. If Drytron ever falls out of the metagame and like there's a more trap heavy metagame, I'd probably cut the Kaliga package for like Final Sigma or some other card that's just really good against trap cards. In the side, the only contentious thing I would say is MST instead of Cosmic Cyclone, because I don't want my back row hate to die to Lancia, and you could also unbrick your hands by MSTing your own King Long, which you can't do if you're running Cosmic. And Twin Twisters is too much of a neg in this deck, even if you're going first. And the point of MST is just the quick back row removal. You're negging off your own cards with this Wanwu and the King Long, so you don't want to minus yourself even further by playing Twisters. But other than that, the list seems pretty standard in my opinion.
Okay, I can agree with that. I'm not sure if I've seen too many people on goods lately. I don't think it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's essentially sign-up mining. Plus, it's a good thing if you play it first, and you have Gamma in hand, and then if they respond to the King Long, which a lot of people will because they'll either read that your hand is bad or they'll want to stop the search. Since you're not searching off of Lulu, you're using the King Long to search. You can either get them with a Talents or with a Gamma, which is really sweet because you can hard make Crystal Wing with the Gamma if you resolve it on your turn. Because Gamma's a level 2, and then you make Charge Warrior into a 6, and then you make Gamma and Charge Warrior into 8, which is Crystal Wing. And then you still have the driver to make Shen as well, with like a Lulu or whatever you searched off the King Long. So it's really nice to just resolve Gamma on your turn.
Some people played both Kaliga and Dragoon, and then based on the matchup, they would switch which one they start with. Any thoughts on maybe siding one?
If you want to, you can. I just don't really like Dragoon at all because a lot of the appeal of Dragoon is the burn, right? So you get a double burn if you use vanillas as fusion materials, right? Mm-hmm. But with the way you're bringing out Dragoon in this deck is you're using Mud Dragon and Zulkin. Those are not normal monsters. So you're not going to get the burn. So it's just a 3,000 like towers with an Omni Negate on it, which is fine. It's like fine. If you're worried about like the striker matchup or like, again, some trap based deck, that's fine.
That
But
is kind of what I was thinking. Like, I'm like, well, against Striker, just being an untargetable killing machine is kind of a big deal.
true, but if you just go Shen Pass against Striker, they need to either have Imperm, Widow Anchor, or Afterburners, which is likely, but not guaranteed. And the Shen returns anyway, so I feel like you could outgrind Striker a lot of the time. Plus, Fan will just banish, de-engage, so it's the rank 6 towards the end there. It'll just banish the engage, and it'll banish usually their striker monster, so they won't get ray access. There's a lot of like sort of native outs in this deck that make the striker matchup really strong. But I wouldn't begrudge anybody for playing a Dragoon. I just personally don't like it because at the end of the Kaliga combo, right, you're gonna end up with minimum one card in hand that's usually a Lulu that you're picking up off of Gigi at end phase, right?
Yeah.
So if you end on Crystal Wing Dragoon, it lets your opponent play too much, in my opinion. And if you have to use the Dragoon negate, you've pretty much lost your follow-up. Whereas on the Kaliga board, you don't really have to do anything until they out your board. And you're also pretty much guaranteed not to die because a lot of opponents will waste their battle phase just running into the Kaliga. And if you have a Chuche, then you can just pop whatever monster they attack into, since they only get one attack anyway. And then they've basically wasted their battle phase, so you're guaranteed to live a turn. Whereas with Dragoon, you're not. The only thing that Dragoon has over Kaliga, in my opinion, is that if they have like a board wipe like Lightning Storm or Dark Hole or Raigeki, Dragoon stays because it can't be destroyed by card effects. But if you just put everything in defense, then it's functionally the same against Lightning Storm. If they have like Dark Hole, then they have Dark Hole. But like it's still justifiable. It's just preference a lot of the time. Oh, and one last thing. In terms of pots, there's like some debate about whether Prosperity is good or whether Desires is good. To me, there isn't really a debate. It's Desires 100% of the time because you're going to need that extra card. Prosperity increases your consistency, but you're going to have to get rid of 3 extra deck cards. And yes, you can put them back with Nian Nian, but you're not going positive at advantage, which this deck actually really needs. So if you're playing Prosperity, it's fine, but I think it's suboptimal.
All right. Personally, I agree. You definitely need a lot of advantage in this deck. I find myself, I mean, if this deck has Gamma, I'm getting Gamma 100% of the time because I'm ashing Desires every time.
Yeah, assuming they don't banish the driver.
I mean, that happens a lot, and that's actually one of the punishes, I think, for playing this kind of engine, but I'm not saying it's incorrect to play, but that happened in my finals at Locals yesterday. My opponent had the Desires, I had to ash, and he couldn't do anything, so...
Yeah, but it's worth the risk for increasing the ceiling and the consistency as well, in my opinion. But feel free to disagree.
All right, well, let's get into some games. We'll see what comes up. Maybe we'll have some, I don't know if I'd say changes of opinion, but we'll see like how bad things go when things go bad and how well things go when they go well, because I find this kind of deck is weird in the way that it bricks in like weird ways. So let's get into some duels. All right, so let me just write competitive, please. Hopefully we'll get an opponent and not take too long.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Oh.
Yeah, they didn't want to play with us.
Okay. Oh, cool. We're going to die roll. So you want to go first with this deck? What I don't like to Desires immediately, especially if I have cards that I can like combo with right now. So because you have Nian Nian and Gigi, I'm going to ask you to normal summon the Nian Nian. And then activate the Gigi targeting the Nian Nian. Then send the King Long.
That is how you combo. It is the turn 1 FTK. Now, obviously, we don't get to really continue this game, but just to briefly, I don't know if they've disconnected yet, but my personal opinion is we probably could have Desired first, just to see if we draw the Gamma, and we had, like, the called by anyway. That's the only reason I would have said to do that, but I agree we had, like, this, you know, they might not respond because they could put us on Gamma. I don't know.
And the reason I did that, I mean, that's fair. I would have... Personally, since I already drew 2 Desires, I was like, okay, we'll just discard 1. And then if we make it to the Zolkin combo, we can just set the Desires and then play it again. And then play it after we set it to just end on more cards at the end of our turn.
Fair enough. All right. If we're going to be blindly assuming we're going second, any particular cards that should come in?
If we're just assuming we're going second, just the kaijus. I would cite in the kaijus, the Feather Duster, and the Reboot, and just.
And what would we take out if we're... Well, they decided to rage quit. Interesting. Well,
Unfortunate.
I honestly thought they were going to just have totally rage quit to begin with, so I didn't actually
I thought
expect to side.
Yeah, I thought you were. I thought they rage quit as well. So like I didn't realize you were actually on the side decking screen.
At first when we were discussing what the better line of play is on whether Desire's first or second, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be that long of a conversation, but at the same time, there is a lot of merit to thinking about it one way or the other. All right. Well, I guess if we could do full combo without activating Desires, we could try.
That was also just kind of an awkward hand since you had to burn your normal summon to start playing. So maybe Desires in there was correct, but I just like having everything in deck first, so I'm not cut off of certain lines.
All right, well, we'll start another match in a second. I just realized that something's not in here. I'm just curious, opinion on emergency teleport.
Oh, that. Okay, so...
I didn't realize. The moment you said we had to normal summon, I'm like, do we?
This is probably where I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I just personally am very biased against emergency teleport because I've bricked on it a lot. Because if you draw a hand with a bunch of... Like, let's say you draw a hand with like a Kowloon and a King Long and a Chuche, and then like an emergency teleport, right? That's still a brick. Whereas if the emergency teleport is a Foolish Goods, it's still a combo. So I prefer to give myself options to combo as opposed to just having another like extender from deck. So it's like a starter versus an extender sort of thing. And emergency teleport is only a starter with very specific hands, whereas Foolish Goods is pretty much a starter if you have any name that you can play, and Foolish Goods. So
okay. Fair enough. And I guess with these Desires, it can't really take the place of like a Nyan or a Goods because you'll banish whichever.
Yeah, I mean there are merits to playing emergency teleport. You can e-tele out a Gamma, for example, and then just hard make Crystal Wing even without having to resolve Gamma on your turn. So that's like kind of cute. But if you want to play emergency teleport, I'm not gonna begrudge you for it. It's just I personally have not fond memories of this card, so I decided to just cut it.
Fair enough. All right, let's play another match. It'll just extend the deck discussion part at the beginning because I totally missed that there was no e-tele. Which, I mean, considering all these cards activate in hand, I guess it doesn't really make that big of a difference.
Slayer.
That's the arch nemesis of people doing video series.
Yeah, so first to go. Oh, this hand.
I think I know how to play it, but what do you think?
I think we only really have one option here. Just set this Wandu and then pass.
That is what I thought was the correct play. So I think this is like how the deck bricks, right?
This is exactly how the deck bricks.
So we have high level.
There's no point in activating it. You don't have another gate on field. Its effect only works in the battle phase. Like, just let it go through.
If anyone wasn't aware, this does have a battle phase related effect, which can be useful. What is it? If you have Chuche or...
Yeah, if you have another continuous face up on the field, you can target a monster, any monster on the field, change its battle position during the battle phase. That has come up surprisingly often, although usually in wonky game states.
Like I've seen it stop people from making Zeus's by preventing...
That is true. I've also set it off a Kowloon once to try and get over a Winda, which was very funny. It didn't work, unfortunately, but it would have been very funny if it did. So Thunderbird's fine. I think Thunderbird is fine. We should probably wait for like Dragooblion if they're going to make that, because I know that deck.
Agree. That's exactly what I was thinking. Come on, hit it again. Oh.
Well, at least we get the Grand Maju. Like, and then I assume that's Hextrude, maybe, possibly. And Hextrude is also 8, so... Oh, well, they're just going straight for battle phase. Okay.
Maybe they read the Gamma?
Probably. There are people who will see the waiting thing, and then they'll be like, oh, they probably have Gamma, instead of just, like, any generic hand drop, because, like, the waiting bar here... Yep. Which should be fine if we draw... all right, I guess. So I guess we have to do the same thing we did last time, which is normal summon the Nian Nian. And then if they have Ash, I think we lose here because the Titanic Galaxy can negate the talents, but do the GG targeting the Nian Nian.
Huh.
There it is. Activate talents anyway, and then attempt to draw 2 cards. See if they let it go through.
I mean, I have another idea.
What is it?
Are you familiar with Golden Castle's Mirror Force effect?
Oh, it does have a Mirror Force, and that's mandatory, right?
Indeed.
So
we can attack. It will destroy us. We'll take 750. Then we can talents and then gamma.
oh, that's actually really smart. I would like, yeah, let's do that.
I don't say it's correct. He might
But
just. I mean, I don't see a better play just because like we can't really like do anything anyway here.
Actually, hold on. There might be a better play. Go to main phase 2. And then activate this Wanwu. Wait, hold on. No, we already used our normal on Nian, and never mind. Yeah, so then do the talents and then the gamma.
What should we do? Draw, I guess?
Draw, yeah.
I mean, we're kind of telegraphing gamma. He played around it before, so he should play around it again, but I guess it's hard to justify here.
Yeah. That's fine. So then the driver. And the camera. There we go. I guess we have to desires here. And you already used the Ash, so we're fine. Oh, there's Lala. So we can go Zwanwu, bring back the Nian Nian. And then just discard another driver.
Gamma?
Or, yeah, discard the Gamma.
I mean, we could pitch the GG because it's been used already.
Oh, yeah, and then we can bring back something with Roshi, that's correct.
I don't know if that's preferable. I'm just throwing out things I see.
Go like that. Yeah, discarding the GG is fine.
All right.
And then we go Roshi, target the... Assuming we have spells left.
Spell, we have one spell.
We have one. Well, that's good. So then send the King Long with the Roshi there.
But we lost both trap cards.
That's unfortunate. We can get them back with Nian Nian, hopefully. And special summon the GG. And then I would personally make Shen here with Roshi and Gigi. So make the Shen. And then I would go King Long to get the Lulu. And then I'll add the Lulu and the discarded driver. Or Gamma, rather. Then I'll go attempt to activate the Lulu effect if you can. Yeah, it doesn't matter which.
We have the bad spell.
Yeah.
What are we targeting? Oh, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because they're both monsters. And then just send one of those.
And we don't get to add anything because there's nothing to add.
So synchro into Stardust Charge Warrior here. And then add, you can... wait, the chain order is important here, yeah. So Charge Warrior is chain link 1. And then Nian Nian is chain link 2, put back a Chuche. So we have a potential to draw it. Oh, unfortunate.
Oh, well.
So then synchro with the... hard make the Crystal Wing here.
Is there... We didn't get to battle the extra deck monster to make a Zeus.
No,
Is
it
there
didn't.
Any use for a fan?
I
don't
is
think
there?
So, right? I don't know.
I mean, maybe if they draw the Grand Baju, then they kind of win anyways. I mean, we have the call by the grave for the Grand Baju. It should negate it if I remember how that works.
Yeah, that does.
So then Crystal Wing's fine because it gives us another monster negate. So I would do that. And then we can just let the driver get banished. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And then we'll just set the call by and then pass turn there.
All right. Keep in mind he still has this. So
yeah,
deck's getting low.
Yeah.
Ah, that card's good.
Ah. Oh, and this interaction is very funny. So you're gonna have to burn the Crystal Wing negate here because you can't called by because Shen Shen banishes it from the graveyard when it leaves the field.
Okay.
And Crystal Wing won't gain any attack because the monster isn't destroyed. That's
still targets for this.
That's fine. And
Well,
then
at least it means he can't normal summon.
If he summons a Hextrude, then we can call by that. I think. Is there a Hextrude in graveyard?
I believe so.
Yeah, so we can just call by the Hextrude. Unless he has like exactly Bell. Yeah.
Well, if we can get a level 8 Danger on board, which is a little difficult here.
Yeah. So we need a way to remove the Stromberg. Can you? Yeah, but I'm still. Oh yeah, we need a tuner is the problem. Check the graveyard for me real quick. Roshi Talons. Oh, we don't have a tuner monster, which is unfortunate.
And I think we're without 3.
Oh, okay.
Now.
We might be able to do it. It's just gonna cost us Shen, unfortunately. I believe that's the only line of play we have.
All right.
So we're gonna enter the battle phase.
What are you thinking before we do that? That's kind of like a last chance.
Sorry. Because we don't have a tuner and we can't get rid of the castle. I was thinking about attempting to attack with Shen, activating its effect, put the Yan Yan back in the graveyard, then using the normal summon, then synchroing into Gigi, or the level 6 virtual world, and then using that to clear the Hextrude, and then just putting that in defense.
Because keep in mind, they're going to banish 10 cards in a second. They'll have 1 card in their deck, so there's a chance we can leave it there also. That's
true. I just don't want the Hextrude to stay on. I mean, I guess we have the Crystal Wing, so maybe we can pass there. It's a kind of complicated board state.
Yeah.
I think we can just set the Nyan Yan and maybe pass there. Yeah, set the Nyan Yan pass seems alright.
Alright, we can still negate this.
Yeah.
We don't have the called by anymore. We might want to consider defense position, but then he can run us over with Hextrude.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's a tough spot, so I guess we just have to end turn and pray. It's just the way the cards worked out didn't give us a lot of options.
All right. Well, sometimes you can only do what you can. Good thing it's mandatory. So they have 1 card left. What is the chance that it's a Gren Maju that they had 1 in hand already? Because they did opt to go for Hextrude when they could have just normal summoned and attacked. Because they definitely won't be able to resolve it again. Battle.
Yeah.
Okay, we get to recycle something, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We should be able to recycle something.
Unless she has some effect that... Oh, I guess she was activating first. Alright, so if we activate Nyan, we can't use Crystal Wing. Do we care? I mean, she can't really attack twice anyway, because that's all she's trying to do.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so then just use the Nyan, that's fine.
We could put back a spell, or...
Scroll through real quick. Yeah, putting back a King Wong's perfectly fine, because then we'll actually have tuner access, assuming all our Lulus aren't banished, which I don't think they are.
Oh, I didn't catch that it gained attack. Oh, I don't think that matters.
No, because it just ties with Crystal Wing anyway.
Well, it could kill Shen Shen just for us to banish something. I don't know if we had anything. Oh, I guess we did.
Yeah, we could have just banished the Gigi and the driver or something.
Okay.
Oh, right on. Foolish Goods for King Wong seems good here.
Well, as long as this thing is dead.
Yeah.
They could have another Ash. It's been a while. I feel like there's nothing else to negate.
No.
Okay.
And then just send the King Wong. And then King Wong for Lulu. Yeah, King Wong for Lulu's fine.
Pitch Gamma.
Yeah, and
a rage quit. So I was thinking we were gonna grab the trap card, so if they find a way to get over us with battle, we just pop the attacker.
Yeah, assuming we had like a spell, like one of the Cowlins left in deck. Yeah, that would have been correct. So we would have went normal Gigi, activate Lulu, send the spell, add the trap, make the virtual world level 6, banish 2, and then we would have targeted the stronghold, and then we would have just attacked for lethal then. Because we can just send the stronghold to the graveyard.
All right, well, that was a odd game. We didn't really get to side deck, so
Yeah.
let's see if we can get another one in. But this is like one of the things about this deck that I don't like. Sometimes those desires really change up the game plan of the deck.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, it got really awkward there.
Again, prosperity is a valid choice in that regard.
Yeah, either one can make things a little awkward, I guess. All right, let's get into another match. All right. So at least the opponent we did play something, at least a competitive variation of a Grand Magi deck.
That is true. That is true.
So,
I'm not entirely sure how good the Golden Castle variant is, but that's a topic for the Grand Magi video, I suppose.
Yeah, I've done that one already. I had Yishan on for that.
Jeez. All right. Well, we're going second, I believe. So,
Phantom Knights. Thoughts on this match?
If we go first, it's pretty free. But second, we'll see what board he makes. If he makes the multi-negate Dark Requiem, we might have an issue. But we'll see. Desire's Talents is pretty good, and even if he negates, because the thing about Talents is that it says activate, not used. So if they use a card that negates activations, you can just play another Talents.
I purposely side Talents just against Dragoon to just take Dragoon and go boom. So
yeah.
There's a good chance we just OTK with one card, their card.
Yeah. We'll see if they even make the Dragoon, because sometimes they don't have enough gas for it. In combination with all the other stuff. And there's Rusty. If we had an Imperm here, that would be really sweet, but we don't.
Because I'm imagining a possibility that it's just Dragoon plus 2 Fog Blades.
Yeah. The one thing this deck really does struggle with is back row, which is why we side in the Reboot and the Feather Duster. Because a lot of the times if they remove the weird thing about BW is that if they remove your targets for the effects, then your effects don't resolve, and you only get to use them once per turn. So it's functionally any piece of removal. Removal is just negation. So that's kind of also an unfortunate thing about this deck.
Isn't there like a debate about one of those? Like, I'm not sure if it works the same way here as it does in the OCG. Like, I think if a monster gets targeted by a VW effect, I think it gets booked.
Oh, if it gets booked, so they changed that. I believe they changed that ruling recently. So previously, if it got Book of Mooned, then the effect would fail to resolve because reasons. But now they ruled it in such a way where if they target a monster, unless that monster leaves the field, then your VW effect will still resolve because the game state recognizes that the card is still a monster card regardless of where it is on the field or what position it's in. So if they
someone the difference is if they MST the back row, you can't know if it was a spell or a trap card to send appropriate cards.
Correct. And it even works.
Had to be a monster, I guess.
That is true. Even if they crack down a VW monster, you would still get to resolve your VW effect. Although crackdown is rather annoying because you lose your combo piece basically.
So people should be actively just trying to take the monsters away from you before you can start triggering the effects, I guess. Correct.
Because even if because all I really need is 2 names to keep playing through stuff. So unless you remove the only name I have on field, it's kind of difficult to fully stop this deck. There's the Bear Anaconda. Okay.
Well, I mean, he didn't make the more annoying threats, I think. He didn't make the Appaloosa or what's the other one? Blanking. The Dark Requiem, so all the monster negates against your deck where all your monsters have to go.
He drew the Dark Magician, which
the
is
ultimate wizard.
In terms of attack and defense. So I assume there'll be more Fog Blades in our future. There's still 3 cards in hand, and he only searched 1 off the Rusty. He didn't search 1 off Boots or anything.
I believe the Boots searched the wings, and then that was pitched to summon back a guy.
That is correct.
I did space out on his combo.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little long. So I wouldn't Desires here, because if we banish the Zwanwu, then our hand's a brick. I would activate the King Long.
And Talents, like I say, is like a one card like FTK if it works in this like case, because we pop Rusty and something. I guess the Fog Blades can make their own guys unaffected.
Yeah, I'm gonna activate the Lily targeting the King Long and see if he negates that. So this is commonly referred to, well, MET refers to this as a reverse Lulu. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna send the Zwanwu and the Lulu.
By the way, if the battle position matters, please say so.
It doesn't matter, not in this case. I think, okay, so now that we have this Zwanwu out of the deck, I think we can try to Desires here, because I want the extra card. Because this Zwanwu requires a discard, so.
Okay, so if you start with only Lily, you have to send the...
You have to send the Zwanwu. Yeah, you have to send those... If you start with Lily King Long, make sure to get the Zwanwu in the graveyard first, so you don't banish it off Desires.
It looks like our banish wasn't too bad.
No, I think we have at least one of every name left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 3 talents, fun. So then Zwanwu, banish the Zwanwu, and target the Lulu.
Because the problem here is I don't really want to discard talents and tell them we potentially have talents and we pitched an extra.
So then,
but it's awkward to discard anything else.
Yeah,
I mean, whatever you think makes sense. Okay, good. That makes things easier.
That makes things way easier, yeah. That's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter at that point. So we haven't used our normal, right? So God, I'm actually genuinely considering normaling the Ash Blossom here, just so we can still do the Lulu play.
Vermilion pop itself?
Yeah, but the thing is, he has Fog Blades, so that I'm not entirely sure how good that play is. The problem is also if we Talents the Dragoon, he's just going to get it back at the end of the turn, and we don't really have a decent way to clear it.
Well, if we can make a Zeus, we can clear it.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a way to make a Zeus with the cards we have now. God, that's really frustrating because we can't use Utopia Beyond either, because we'll just negate it with a Fog Blade. Can you go open my extra deck for me real quick?
Certainly. We have everything.
I'm just checking to see if there's like some random off the wall play we could do. Doesn't look like it. Because
I do think we should try the... Well,
I mean,
I feel like we want to try and get to an Xyz play either way, rather just to potentially get that option. Because like the synchro play is definitively getting stopped, you know?
Yeah. So, but the problem is, how are we getting to?
I don't know. I'm not saying it's the right answer. We might have to draw cards.
Yeah. So I would draw cards with the talents then, because like the Dragoon play is cute, but it's not going to get us anywhere. Can you hover over his back row so I can see exactly where the Fog Blade is?
It's in the center zone.
In the center zone? Okay, and then just draw your cards. Oh, that's, like, not great. God. Is there anything we can do here? No. I think we just lose this one, unfortunately.
Or I'll just scoop.
Yeah, it's scoop. We scoop for that one, yeah.
Yeah, because if we pop his cards, we pop, what, the 500 to 21, and then he Fog Blades his own guy, so we can't battle it, and then,
Yeah, he would either, if we even made a rank 6, he would either Fog Blade his own card, or, like... So since we're signing for going first, I would maybe just take out the Gammas, and the Driver, and then side in triple Lancia, and like Imperial Order to stop the Red Eyes fusion, maybe.
Fair. A reboot could be good.
Yeah, but like I don't know, reboots, like especially if he's going second. I don't especially if we're going first, I don't particularly like reboot since he's gonna need a turn to set up traps anyway. And reboot doesn't stop trap effects, so it wouldn't stop any of his stuff in grave. Whereas the Lancia does.
So we're good like this, yeah?
Yeah, we should be good like that.
Okay.
Go first. Okay, seems like okay. We're gonna go normal the Nian, and then GG target the Nian. Please no Ash Blossom. Thank you. So send the King Long. And then King Long to add the Lulu. And then discard the Zwanwu. And then, hold on, I'm thinking here. Because if we go King Long, target Lulu, or if we go King Long, then we can send like a Chuche and then add a guy to hand as well. And then we can still get, pretty much everything at that point. Yeah. Okay. So I believe that's correct.
So activate King Long?
Activate King Long, yeah. And then go Lulu, target the King Long. Sending a Chuche.
So this is all done because we target a monster, we can't search a monster.
We can't search a monster, yeah. So then add a Roshi to hand.
Alrighty.
And then you're going to synchro any of the threes with Lulu into Coral Dragon.
Alrighty.
And then you're going to use the Chuche in Graveyard to target the GG, make it level 6.
Alrighty.
Okay, yeah, it is level 6. I thought they said 5, yeah. And then you're going to make Zolkin.
Is there a preference zone for this? I feel like people put it in the EMZ a lot.
Yeah, put it in the extra monster zone because you don't want your main monster zones clogged. So, in defense, and then draw off the Coral Dragon. Oh, Ash, that's really nice. Then activate the Roshi. And send, just send another Nian to the graveyard, so we don't draw it. Oh, I'm dumb. We should have set first for Zolkin. Yeah, just do the thing. Summon a guy from graveyard.
Well,
Summon
we can either way. I guess we get back to Nian, right?
GG. Summon GG, so we have a non-tuner.
All right. Do we want to activate Nian?
No, not right now. Just set to activate Zolkin.
So we should have done this first to avoid like losing more on like a nib.
Yeah, to avoid, yeah, because like you should do it first because like right here they'd have to nib if you did it before the. If we did it in the proper order, we would have had Roshi for follow-up, but it seems they're not going to nib here anyway. So like, just summon the Crystal Wing.
Defense,
summon it
attack.
In attack in the rightmost zone. To play around like Transverse or some weird stuff, and then synchro the other two.
Alright. Shen?
Into Shen, yeah. In defense.
No, I don't know why I went there. I don't think it matters in this matchup.
Yeah. We could extend, but I think this is fine enough. We're just gonna go to the end phase. And then resolve GG to pick up the Lulu. So we have follow-up for next turn.
Okay, so they might be putting us on a Chuche. There are 2 banished cards. We don't have a Chuche, but...
But it's good to bluff it anyway.
Yeah.
And they'll probably have something like Harpies anyway, which would be annoying, but not the end of the world. And we even have Ash for the Red Ice Fusion, which is pretty good. So Phantom Knights, I think we just leave that for now. Or do we? Well, it depends on what they... Oh, so they're just going straight into the wielder. That's fine. Let them go through. Because if they make Cherubini, it sends for cost, so they'll get the card anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, we can pop Cherubini. Well, I guess we don't have a card to pop Cherubini, but yeah, Imperm wouldn't stop it.
Yeah. So if we had a Chuche, then we Chuche the Cherubini on summon. Because they would need to, like, preemptively set a card to prevent the Cherubini from being destroyed.
That's something I always do. If they have one to set, they would just set it before activating it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And I think they can use it despite Shen Shen being on board.
Yeah, because it sends from deck to graveyard. So
I meant
that's
the on-field protection for Cherubini also.
I mean, I'd have to read Cherubini's text, but it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility that they could do that.
It's not an actual cost, so it doesn't have to be paid as written.
That's fair.
The sending from deck to graveyard can be paid as cost while Shen Shen's on field, because it's only cards from field that get banished.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think it'd be a little too strong if it was just Dark Law, but bigger and recursive, so...
Yeah, this card's dumb. I hate this card.
That's part of the reason to play the deck, unfortunately.
I hear you. I play Infernoid, so like this card's pretty annoying, because like I can't send my Void cards from the field to the grave for Feast. I can't Imagination under it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know, if you get the reasoning, it's pretty alright, right?
Yeah, there are things I can do. They're just not great. Like, I could feast from cards in my hand, but then all my monsters just get banished when they die anyway.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I prefer to play against... I would have preferred to play against VFD for another 10 formats than deal with Shen Shen.
I think you're the only person in the world who would have preferred that.
I agree. I can see 100% why someone wouldn't want to do that.
Okay, so can you, like, hover over Breaksword for me really quick?
Is there a particular part about it you're interested in?
If it's, like, destroyed...
It summons 2 Phantom Knights from grave. There have to be 2 in there when it activates. So if he pops himself, he can't summon because there's only... He has to target 2 at the same level, and there aren't 2.
Okay. No, because I wanted to just read if it had to be sent to the graveyard. What's Staingreaves? Real quick. The card he's activating in hand.
It just summons itself, and it can increase its level. And
just summons
its grave effect is that it can banish it from grave to summon another one from hand.
That should be fine. Let it go through.
Because, like, I mean, his Breaksword can't really pop either itself or the Staingreaves and get any value out of them, because he loses one, and we just negate it, so I don't think it matters.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he can't even, like, realistically make a Zeus here, because he can't attack the Tzolk'in, so he's gonna attempt
to... he could. I think people miss that a lot.
Yeah, it's really... yeah, so... And then... Let's see what his targets are. Probably Shen. Yeah, so then we just use the Imprim here so we don't lose the talents.
Because now he can make... Because honestly, I think he was going to make Verte anyway with these.
Yeah.
Because he makes Verte, which is Phoenix, really?
Phoenix?
That was unexpected.
Well, let's see what he discards first.
Red Eyes Fusion would be funny.
that would be incredibly funny, yeah. Oh, so what's that one do in graveyard?
He can banish it to search the Phantom Knights card, which is mostly the monsters, but also like Shade Brigandine.
Shade Brigandine.
It'll activate the Torn Scales if he banishes one from the graveyard while he's in the graveyard. The question is, do we care about our Kinglong getting banished? Because we can just stop one of these cards.
What's in the graveyard?
His graveyard?
No, my graveyard. Sorry, should have specified.
No problem. A couple of Nyans.
A Zwanwu. Okay, since we have the Zwanwu, I don't care about the Kinglong getting banished because we have ways to get it. We have ways to continue playing, even if we don't have Kinglong for follow-up. So I prefer to just negate one of the Phantom Knights, if at all possible.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Which I have to explain every time I go to locals. It's not Macrocosmos, it's just really obnoxious. Like
if we want, we can Ash that, and then we can Crystal Wing the Torn Scales. Although there might be a more important card in hand that we need to negate.
But they've already used their normal, right?
Well,
they've used the normal.
The Torn Scales will bring itself back, and then if he searches, like, what's the one called? Silent Boots, he can then special it if he controls a Phantom Knight, which is an inherent summon. Then he can make a Cherubini, or maybe he can just go into, like, what is it? Access code, but I don't think he can really do anything with that.
I'd Ash here, and then just Crystal Wing negate the Torn Scales. Just cut him off of Phantom Knights completely.
Well, we could let him get the Torn Scales, because then we could negate it from field, it'll get banished.
I if you play, I mean, like, I prefer to not risk him just playing into that. If he has the Torn Scales in hand, or if he has the Silent Boots in hand, I'd prefer not to do that.
Because my concern is he gets a monster and makes Verte, and then...
Yeah, but the thing is, he's already used his normal here, so you would either inherent summon of some kind. And I don't believe there's any Fog Blades or anything in Graveyard that lets him get a revival.
Nah, I mean, he would have had to pitch one off of Torn Scales to do that.
There we go. Okay, so you're gonna... What's in the graveyard? So, like,
Well,
there's
we
a...
currently can activate Zanwu. There's, I think, all the names are in the graveyard except for one of them.
There's a 6 in the graveyard is the important thing.
Indeed.
So activate Lao Lao, target the Shen Shen. Because we should be able to OTK from this position. And then we negate that with Crystal Wing.
Alright, this
I
is where
want
they
this-
have... what do you call it? This is where they have Nib and they've already baited Crystal Wings. We just summon under
Yeah,
5.
but we're not summoning more than 5. So send the King Long, just in case like something weird happens and we need to follow up. And then special Roshi from graveyard. And then overlay into Utopia Beyond. So his thing drops to 0. And then we just switch everything to attack, and I think that should be lethal.
It should be. I'm trying to think of anything ridiculous that we lose to. I can't think of one. So I guess we just go for it.
So I would attack with low to high, and then go and make sure Crystal Wing is the last attack, just in case there is something funky going on.
Well, it's hard to do low to high since... should we bother activating... Shen
No.
Shen? Okay.
No. Attack. And then... Yeah, that's lethal.
Alrighty.
The funny thing is that if you just have Crystal Wing Shen, then that's an OTK on an open board, assuming there's a monster that's banished.
Yeah, I've heard you can make your Crystal Wing negate your Shen Shen, so it gains 2800 attack.
Yeah, which is very funny whenever I get to do it.
I love that play. Alright, we're going second probably against Phantom Knights.
So we're going second against Phantom Knights. Take out the Called by the Grave. I'm not entirely sure how useful that's going to be. Put in Feather Duster. Take out the Triple Lancia.
Well, I mean, they can't really play if they can't banish.
I mean, oh yeah, take out Imperial Order. Sorry, I completely blanked on that.
No,
Take out Imperial Order. Put in Red Reboot.
Because the other card that's pretty good in this matchup is Droll, because all their cards do some sort of searching and grave, or a lot of them do.
Yeah, I'm contemplating whether or not to take the Kaijus instead. I mean, like, if you imperm the Rusty, that's pretty alright. I like to do weird things with signing, where like I take out 1 Talents. Let's take out 1 Talents, 1 Desires, 1 Foolish Goods, and then put in like 2 Droll and a Kaiju. Because yeah, so I think that should be alright.
Alright.
If we're going second, yeah. Let's hope that works out.
Well, we could have put in the MSTs, I guess.
That's true. Oh well, there's the Droll.
Oh, they made us go first? Odd.
Wow. Okay, so City set the Chuche from deck, which is like the one time we've gotten to do this. Yeah. So this is like the ideal combo here. So then activate, target the Chuche, and then send the King Long. Add the Kieran, the Earth level 6.
Alright, everybody kind of calls these things one of the 2 names, so this one's Kieran or Lili. Got it.
I flip between them a lot. So activate Lili targeting a Lulu. And then send the Chuche and the King Long.
So now we have 2 King Longs in grave after doing this.
Good for follow-up and stuff. Okay, so activate King Long. Add Gigi. And then discard the Kowloon. It's fine. We have a spell to set for Zolkin, so we're fine. Then activate the Chuche, making Lulu level 6. Okay. Now activate Gigi, targeting one of the monsters. We need to do it in this order, otherwise it's a little annoying. Send this Zwanwu. Okay. And now you make the Zolkin. God, if that was Desires, it'd be nice, but we don't have that luxury.
Alright.
And then set the Foolish Goods to activate the Zolkin. Then make the Crystal Wing in the furthest left zone.
Attack, defense.
Defense would be fine. I don't want to lose to Lightning Storm.
Alright.
And then activate the Zwanwu, which is unfortunate that we're gonna have to get rid of the Droll, but puts them on gotta have the out. Summon Lulu. And then you have to discard the Droll, unfortunately. And then make the Mud Dragon. And then Mud Dragon effect to summon the Kaliga in the zone where the Mud Dragon is.
Polymerization.
Yeah.
Using our Dark and our Alistair the Invoker.
Summoning Dark Kaliga.
Kaliga.
And then attempt to leave main. And then you should still pick up Lulu off of Gigi. And this is why I don't like Dragoon very much, because
Yeah, we wouldn't have had much to play with.
Yeah, it leaves you with exactly one card in hand unless you open Desires.
Some settable card we can activate. It could be Upstart. It could be a lot of things, I guess.
That's also another thing. I've seen people play Upstart specifically, so they have a card to set, and then they'll get it's a card that replaces itself. So if you want to run Upstart, you could too.
I mean, I'm kind of open to trying like Metal Foes Fusion, because you can like pitch it off of these discards.
That's also another one. Twin Twister. That's so unfortunate. Do what you want. Activate the Chuche targeting itself.
Which you can only do if it's already face up. Just so
Yeah.
know that.
So then put back the Chuche and the King Wong. Yeah, there we go. Just let that go through. I don't want to lose the talents, and they only get one effect anyway. So
it's in their best interest to try and make something with more than 1800 attack.
Yeah, I guess I could have negated that, but I'm really scared of talents.
Yeah, I don't know
so
if that deck plays it.
Yeah, if they have another level 3, then they make Breaksword here, and that's good, I guess. But
there's another level 3.
Yeah, but they can't use Torn Scales effect because they've already used their 1. So there's 3. I guess like Breaksword into Verti Anaconda would be okay here. I'm not entirely sure what they do. I sense a Breaksword incoming for sure, because it's like the only extra deck thing they have that gets over this.
I mean, they could just go straight into Rusty here if they really wanted to.
Oh, that's true.
But I mean, Breaksword, if they try to pop, we negate. They can activate Rusty and Grave, but then they can't activate the Verte.
Cherubini, okay. They can't activate Cherubini. I don't know what they're doing here.
I mean, they can. It would just be really, really, really bad.
No, they can't. You're only allowed to attempt to activate one effect with Kaliga, so they can't even attempt.
Yet, have they?
They attempted. They activated the danger.
I didn't even remember that they activated it. I guess I did forget that it got on the board that way.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, let it go through. It's their what effect. They have to. It's on them to out it, not on us to give them ways to out it, basically.
All right, so Rusty is kind of the line I figured would be coming after that.
Yeah. Sure, and then we kind of have to let it go through because they unfortunately popped our Chuche. Main phase 2. And here's a pretty sweet negate, yeah. Unless, is there... Oh, well, they could go Boots and then Boots into Torn Tail, which, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, we're gonna have to negate it because we're gonna lose the Fog Blade later if we don't, right?
That's fair. So I guess we have to negate it here.
Because this card's also just like more plus than the other cards.
That's fair.
Like
Yeah.
if he plays Shade Brigandine, which he can search right now, and then maybe go into Link Spider.
Oh,
something. Oh yeah, he hasn't used Rusty. He hasn't used Torn Scales yet.
yeah, and he hasn't. Yeah, he didn't use Torn Scales because he couldn't because of Kaliga. So like, that's an okay play, I guess. Yep, and then probably a Dragoon here.
Well, he's gonna send a monster that he can revive off of Wings. He'll probably overlay for Breaksword, pop itself and Crystal Wing, bring back both Phantom Knights, summon Verte, and then
maybe a Requiem or something. And I don't know. Does Dragoon require original attack?
It'll probably burn for 3k. I think not. I don't think it's 51. Pretty sure it's original attack. That's why you don't get burned if they pop the nib token.
That's true.
Actually, that one's funny. If you go into time and you ask your opponent, "Do you have a way to burn?" And they play Dragoon, you can convince them to Dragoon after they've nibbed you.
Yeah.
And then they could pay 2,000 and lose.
Yeah. I was seriously contemplating letting Rusty resolve, because you can't link with Rusty, right? So like, I'm not entirely sure how they would have. Oh well, no, they would have. They still had the boots in graveyard, so that would have been worse.
Well, if they activate boots, then the Torn Scales will still go off if we negate that. If we negate the Torn Scales, they still get a search off of boots.
Yeah. So like, I think we're just in like kind of a no-win situation there.
Yeah, I think we just didn't have enough cards to work with. I think we didn't have enough defense on this Kaliga, really. But I mean, it worked out that way.
Because the Chuche is usually good enough most of the time. Part of me just wanted to go really conservative and just make Shen pass. But I also did want to just show off the Kaliga combo in its entirety. So that was probably just me wanting to show off as opposed to like playing optimally.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say what's optimal. There's a good chance he couldn't play for
Yeah.
that. He was forced to use a dangerous Tsuchinoko as his only monster effect.
Yeah. So, and along came Dragoon.
Yeah, and we did because he's got 5,000 on board.
We're in main 2. He had to waste his battle phase.
Oh, I forgot. We're not dead. Woo!
So that is exactly why I like the Kaliga end board, because they have to burn their battle phase. Okay, so we have a couple of options here. We don't have the Zwanu anymore. We have a Nanyans in graveyard, correct?
I don't remember if we used it. No, we never got one.
Oh, we don't have one engraved. That's so unfortunate.
There may have been a scenario where we could have put it in there with the Lili.
So yeah, but that cuts us off the Kaliga line. Okay, so attempt to activate the King One. And then add Nyan to hand. If they let it go through, then that's fine too. Or if they negate it, that's actually pretty beneficial for us, I would think.
I mean, logically, it doesn't make sense for them to. I think it makes more sense for them to negate the card we search than this itself.
Oh well, they have a graph. That's why.
It still doesn't do anything.
We don't have Zwanu anymore.
Because we get to Zeus all of this, right?
Yeah. So we go normal and Lulu if they do, unless they have a card in hand. Yeah. So if it's Ash, then we just lose here. But we go normal Lulu, then wait, what's engraved? We can Chuche. Don't do that. That's bad. So we activate sending the king. We send a King Wong, and then we add a trap to hand. It would be nice if we had like an extra trap card, so we could go send a trap, add a spell, add a trap, and then have the trap face up. But here we just make Fortune Tune. And then we'll attack into like the Verte Anaconda.
I don't know 100% how does this card work. If it will be destroyed, you detach a card?
Yeah. And if it's sent from field to graveyard, so even if we detach it for Zeus, it wouldn't trigger. But we go to battle. We tank 100 attacking into one of the 500s. It doesn't really matter which one.
Ow.
What? Oh.
I said ow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have to. Oh yeah, we have to negate it. We have to prevent destruction now. And then we'll go to main phase 2. And then we'll make Zeus, and then we just Zeus everything before we set the Chuche, and then we'll set the Chuche at end phase. Whee! Bye-bye!
Oh, and there goes the Rusty. That's good. So currently in their graveyard, activatable cards, they can activate the Boots, which will trigger the Torn Scales. Boots can search a trap card, but we can then pop the Torn Scales, or we can wait, see what he does, and try and hold it for a while.
Yeah, so then we set a card, we set the Chuche, and then we pass turn here. Because if we're guaranteed to live to the next turn, I think we're pretty good to kill him on the crackback.
Yeah, just the King Longs being in grave is always a nice setup.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, Tour Guide.
That's a really good pull.
That is so good. And I'm assuming it was off the top.
I think it was.
God, it's so frustrating.
We don't play a lot of BAs, so it's probably just a tour guide for another tour guide at this point.
Yeah, but it's
Graph.
well.
I don't think there's another target for Graph though.
They have 2 Phantom Knights in grave, right? So like,
yeah, which I think are more of a threat.
We should have put on Always Chain, because I would have maybe activated the Chuche here in case they summon a Break Sword. Because if they summon the Break Sword, then
well, they can still do that anyway, because they can just
they can just boot, summon Torn Scales, and then do that stuff.
Exactly. So it doesn't really matter yet.
Yeah. Which is fine, but that's sort of like one piece of interaction, so we got to use it kind of opportunely.
Well,
oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
so he's gonna make his own Zeus.
Yeah, but we can just pop this, I think.
What's its protection?
If it can detach one, target a monster on the field, it can't be destroyed by battle. If they have 2 monsters with the same type and attribute in graveyard, and then it becomes DD Warrior Lady, also.
So should we pop it now, or should we?
We should wait until battle phase, because if yeah, just wait until I would wait until battle phase, or until the Chuche gets threatened.
Let's see if this Graph does anything. Yeah, he pitched the Seer before. It's probably just he drew them both, I guess.
Yeah, because they usually only play like a 1/1, 1/1 on the Phantom, or on the BAs, right?
Yeah. I thought I might have been a misplay earlier by just putting the Zeus in defense position.
No, you kind of always put the Zeus in defense.
Well, against Phantom Knights, where they make Xyz, it gives them the ability to attack. And
that is
Zeus.
That is true. That is true. God, do we?
Oh, we should have a right answer.
Yeah.
Because whoops, didn't mean to unclick there. But if we pop one,
yeah, he's getting a Zeus regardless of what we're doing.
We could save it to pop. Well, we can't pop a Zeus with this, right? That wouldn't work.
No, I mean we could, but he'll just go chain Zeus and then like.
There is a right answer here. The right answer is we want him to make Breaksword first, because if we pop Breaksword and he activates the effect, he's locked into Darks and can't make Zeus. Oh.
Levier.
That might be worth popping.
Probably.
Because it at least does something.
It's like, and then he only gets one. You'd only get one Zeus activation, which, yeah, I think popping the Levier's pretty all right. And yes,
because he's already used like the Torn Scales already. He's already used the Boots. He can Fogblade one of these guys back, but that doesn't make anything.
But he doesn't have an Xyz. He doesn't have a Phantom Knights Xyz, so it wouldn't do much. Even if he's playing Downward, it doesn't do. What's this do? Just add something.
Just searching on another monster, probably, or Shade Brigandine, I guess is possible. Yeah.
Yeah, but Shade Brigandine wouldn't work because he has traps in grave.
That has one Fogblade. You can just activate it, right?
That's true.
Sometimes you can make it 0 traps.
Oh, and then he's gonna just extend further with the Stained Graves. That's...
Yeah, I guess he's getting to the same place.
Yeah, that's annoying, but not the end of the world.
There might not have
Because
been a right way to play this out anyway.
yeah, because we just had too few cards to work with, and we were staring down a Dragoon. We kind of had to do what we had to do.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Dragoon to get banned. Okay, so please no, you didn't do the thing. Okay, so he'll just take 1,000 here. Oh, he wants to banish our Zeus. That's fine.
I mean, that doesn't do anything.
Yeah. It gets an extra 2,000 on board, I suppose, or in terms of damage. Please give us Pot of Desires. That would be so sweet here. Oh, oh,
He's going for the new one.
Utopic Future. You can stack a Zeus on top of Utopic Future, right? I don't know how good that is.
Oh, he didn't.
So this is terrible. Oh, well, that's kind of unfortunate. So, God, what's the text on Future Draco is negate a monster effect, right?
Alright, so once per turn, when an opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, negate the activation, and if that monster is on the field, gain control of it. So he also can't be destroyed by battle or card effects.
Cannot be oh, that's so unfortunate. What's in our graveyard?
Well, activatable cards is the Qinglong, but I think we also have access to a Chuche.
Chuche. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, jeez. And he's got like a bunch of what's in his graveyard in terms of follow up?
Silent Boots. The Torn Scales will activate off of that. I think that's it.
So
this can summon one from hand, but he'd probably just normal it.
Yeah, I was thinking we just set the Zwanwu pass, but he just makes a break sword and kills it here.
He might not have another one. I think that actually might be the play.
Yeah, that'd be fine, because then we just switch the... Wait, can Utopic Future be targeted?
Yeah. It can be targeted.
Okay, so that is the play then. And we just wait until we get Desires or Talents or some other card that'll let us
Haymaker that'll just change the tide.
Yeah, or a Kaiju would be kind of nice too.
Do we flip it early, or does it matter?
Just wait. You should probably wait till he attacks. Just in case. Yeah, and then flip it now, and then switch the Future to defense.
That's a pretty funny playline. That also makes his guy lower defense. Well, he can't be killed by battle.
If we draw a Nan here, that's also not the end of the world. Oh, we don't have another 3. Never mind. It is. We'd have to draw Nyan into like Lulu specifically or something. Right. Even if they pop the Zwanwu, it's not the end of the world either. But Fogblade kind of secures it here, I think. Unless we need to draw like Desires into like a bunch of Haymakers here.
I wonder what's left in his extra.
Yeah, he has a 5-card extra.
That's not a lot, but we also don't know what kind of cards they would play. Like, they made a Phoenix in a previous game, right? They might just out the Zwanwu, which isn't bad. I mean... Alright, he does play another one.
Yeah, well, okay. At least we survived the turn. We'll see. Because I expect Requiem to come down now, and I think that would be the end of the game.
Pops the Chuche. That's interesting.
That's probably correct, because if we finagle our way to getting 2 cards banished, then the Chuche is kind of a threat, especially to the Requiem.
I don't think he might be making Requiem. I think he might just get the bodies here. I don't think a lot of people are on it. He would have made it before.
Okay, so Desires?
Ooh.
Oh.
Like, that felt like it could be good, but we need a card to discard for the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem with VW. You need minimum 3 cards to do anything, pretty much.
Oh, we can still be blocking attacks. He left this here.
That's true. So the Phantom Knights thing, I would... Jeez.
Because his guys are tiny.
Yeah. I just, play the Qinglong, and then pass. because if we by some miracle survive next turn, we can negate the utopic future, and then we could still play.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. As ridiculous and impossible as that sounds. Oh no,
Come
he's
on,
gonna get
buddy.
it for 18.
Come on, buddy. No monster. Come on, buddy. Please, please. Oh,
18 and 16 is
that's
too much.
just enough. Unfortunate.
This game was hilarious.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed this game. I don't know. Can we save the replay so I can see what the next card would have been? But just switch the utopic future to defense because it's funny.
Huh, go to defense, sucker. I mean, there's so many cards that he plays that are smaller than that. It really turned out to be the biggest one.
I was like, couldn't it just be like a freaking, I don't know, whatever. Like, just some little thing with like 500 or 0. Yeah. Oh, well. It happens.
Well, let's find out what our top deck was. All right.
right.
Got to get all the way to the end of this setup to get there.
Yeah. Oh, they hard opened the twisters, so they had the out anyway.
Yeah, they have a lot of extenders. Like, technically, we only had like one brick card in hand, right? I guess the goods is sort of a brick because we already had access to everything. And
We already had access to everything. That's also another reason not to play goods, because like, if you already have everything, then it just makes your like good hands less good. But it makes your terrible hands playable, so I play it. Oh, and this year was for turn. Okay. God, that was so unfortunate. Just having your twisters. Oh well. And if we drew Imperial Order there, that would have been sweet. But we didn't slide back in Imperial Order. That was my mistake. Because normally you're supposed to do that just to protect against twisters and stuff like that. But God, this was actually a really fun game.
Crazy stuff happens on Yugioh Pro.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just Dragoon just makes for really unfun sort of game states. But yeah. Oh, and they had the tour guide in hand anyway, also, so like, it didn't matter all that much. Tune. Yeah, they just had it, so like, there's nothing we could do.
Alright, I'm just trying to think, like, is there a better rank 3 we can play that's, like, better in that spot? Like, would this one have been better?
That one, in that specific instance, it probably would have been better. But it only would have been better insofar as, we could have, insofar as it outs the Dragoon by itself, and then we still have the Zeus as interaction with the Chuche. So that's good because it's a Dragoon out on its own, because it can just DD Warrior Lady the Dragoon, especially since you already used the negation. And then set the Zwanwu. Yeah, so there's legitimate reasons to run Fortune Tune, or to run Jaja over Fortune Tune. But Fortune Tune is a guaranteed Zeus in pretty much every circumstance. So it's just, in most cases, it's more optimal to run the Fortune Tune over the Jaja.
Alright, this was our last card we drew, right?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Oh, look at this great top deck.
It was an Ash.
I mean, technically our top deck didn't matter if they couldn't kill us.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Because we're just pitching something for King Long.
Yeah.
We're using the King Long Engrave, pitching the Ash, searching whatever we want, using the King Long, negating this guy, sending something.
I mean, the Fog Blade kind of complicates things, but
yeah, I guess we just didn't have it for this game.
I mean, there's a possibility that we could have done something like we could have finagled our way to a fan probably by like some miracle, and then we could have finagled our way to a fan, figured out a way to put Nyan Engrave. We could have used the fan to banish the Utopic Future and the Nyan from our graveyard, assuming he doesn't Fog Blade, and then we could have used the Nyan to put back the Zeus, and then like overlaid into Gaia Charger and then made the Zeus again, which is very funny. But I don't think it could have happened on this board state. The Fog Blade really sort of complicates matters.
Okay.
If the Fog Blade wasn't there, we might have clutched it through another Zeus activate, through another way to loop back the Zeus, but we just didn't have it this time.
Yeah, just so everyone's aware, it's kind of cool. This deck can reuse all of its cards because you can almost always banish everything in the deck somehow.
That's true. One thing I really like doing is I like using Shen, banishing Nan and Zeus as cost, and then using Nan to put back the Zeus, which is very funny. It's very funny that you get to just Nan gives you a lot of really cool interactions that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Nyan. All right, let's go back to the deck list real quick. So we've played for about an hour, so it was actually there's a very long video at this point. So just at the end, I like to go through and see if there's anything that didn't come up, anything that's worth mentioning, like things we weren't playing versus things we did play, scenarios that came up or didn't come up. Anything come to mind looking over the deck list at this point based on what's happened?
Honestly, not honestly. The Jaja thing at the end was pretty much the only thing that came up. One thing that didn't come up that I was kind of sad that didn't come up is that M7, Constellar M7 is a really busted card in just in this deck and in general. Like you can add back hand traps. Like I've looped Lancia so many times against like Dino and Tri Brigade, and it's very fun to just just activate Lancia 3 turns in a row after their turn gets skipped. Also, one other cool thing with M7 is you can put back names that you have used in previous turns but haven't used on the turn you used M7. So you can finagle your way to an M7, use M7, add back Lao Lao, and then make a fan for an extra body and extra removal. So then you have a fan and M7 or fan and Zeus, which is pretty cool.
There's some lines where you Vermilion your tuners into your hand also, I think.
Yeah, that would have come up one of those games, but I don't think it did because we had too much to work on. Also, M7 is the reason I like Kaijus in the deck because you can bounce back a Kaiju and then use it again. So M7 is really strong. I probably would play multiples if the extra deck space wasn't so tight. Like if the Kaliga thing doesn't become optimal, then I would probably just play a second M7 because it's that strong in terms of just how much it offers you in terms of recoverability, the grind game, just removal in general.
It's a really solid card. Just not a lot of decks can play level 6s to make it, I guess.
It's a really solid card. The Beatrice, there's Beatrice lines that you could have done in this deck. Especially in Dawn of Majesty, the set that's coming out. There's some Beatrice combos that you could do with this deck. I'm not entirely sure how more or less optimal it is than the Kaliga stuff, but it ends on Beatrice, some new rank 6 from Dawn of Majesty, and a Fossil Dyna, which is functionally very strong as well.
You get a Fossil Dyna on the board.
There's a new card called Skylark. It's a rank 6 that's coming out in Dawn of Majesty. During the standby phase, you can target a level 5 or lower monster. That one, yeah. The Xyz. So you can target
in my sneak peek packs.
Yes, I believe it's a common or a super.
It definitely is. I managed to pull one and I pulled bad, so.
So yes. So the play is you use Beatrice to send the Fossil Dyna to the graveyard, and then during the standby phase you bring back the Fossil Dyna with the Skylark. Yeah. You could also do some funny side cards like put Spell Canceller in the side, or Kaiku in the side, or just some really just silly cards. I think it's gimmicky, but it's very funny that BW just gets to pretty much toolbox any floodgate in the game, which is nice. This deck needed more options to play with.
Yeah, if people weren't aware, there are ways to do similar things with was it Curious plus Griffin, Nightmare Griffin?
Yeah.
But these are monsters, which is I guess a difference. Face-up monsters instead of face-down floodgate traps.
Yeah. I'm a little annoyed MST didn't come up. Although to be fair, if the MST King Long thing came up, then that means our hands were particularly atrocious. So yeah, I just wanted to justify my MST choice here because I know some people are gonna see the deck list and they're gonna see, why MST over Cosmic or Twisters, which are in a vacuum objectively better cards. But other than that, I'm not too beat up about the what happened. It is what it is.
Yeah, that seemed fine. I wouldn't. My only thing is, I was hoping our hands didn't like go as crazy as I would have hoped they would have at any particular point.
Yeah,
Like this deck used to feel like you couldn't stop it, and no matter what you did, it just kept going.
yeah. It's usually hands with Lulu and then the Kowloon and then one or two other names.
Yeah, we never had enough names. Like I feel like we had at most one name every turn.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. That happens too. But the city Lulu plus another name is where the deck really sort of feels kind of unfair because you just gain a lot of momentum if you end up especially those three. If you open those three in sequence, then like the deck feels really unfair.
All right, you want to walk us through what that looks like?
Sure.
I don't normally do a combo at the end, but I mean, if this is the goal, but this can sort of be done in other ways, right?
Yeah, it can be done in other ways. So then you go Lulu set the Chuche, or sorry, the King Long set the Chuche. Yeah, and then you go Lulu, send King Long, add like GG to hand, and then you would go King Long. I would go King Long, add Nian, discard Nian. And then go Lili, target Lulu, send a King Long and a Chuche. And then you go Chuche, make Lulu 6. And the cool thing is that I usually do it in this order, specifically because Zolkin is a big choke point, and now you have your Chuche set up, right? Mm-hmm. So if they go Imperm or Effect Veiler, since Zolkin is the only monster you control, it doesn't have targeting protection yet. And the thing about Zolkin is that it prevents both players from targeting it if you control a synchro monster. So you can't target it either. But this setup, if you make the Zolkin, and then you set a card to activate it, right?
So in this case, we can kind of do the old dodge thing you used to do VFD, I guess?
Correct, yeah. So you set it, and then you activate.
And we have
personally, I wouldn't have set the card in that column because I like putting stuff in the furthest columns to play around Transverser. And if you do it that way, you're playing into Mech Knights. So it's fine. I forget that all the time too, but like just seeing it there made me tense up a little bit.
What, the talents or the Zolkin? Or...
No, putting the talents in that zone. So I would put it in I put it in the empty extra monster zone personally.
Okay.
Because like if you're getting to the Kaliga stuff, then you don't have to worry about Zolkin being in the extra monster zone. So then activate the GG targeting of the Chuche. Now, assuming we have a King Long engrave already, which I believe we do, I would just send another Nian Nian, so that just gives us like the most follow-up possible. And then you summon the first Nian Nian in graveyard, because the second one isn't allowed to trigger because of rule.
Because it's sent at the same time this is summoned, so it wasn't there when it was summoned.
Correct. Yeah. So it has to be in the graveyard to see the summon happen, and then you make the Mud Dragon. And then you would Mud Dragon into the Kaliga here. And then, do we want to activate the Nian Nian? No, I don't actually, because if we leave it, and then, if we have to activate the Chuche during our opponent's turn, and then we banish the King Long, then we have the Chuche set up already again. So I would probably just leave the Nian Nian there. And then and then we go to end phase, we pick up the Lulu.
Okay, so in this case we had like one more card than we had like last time, because we
Yeah.
didn't have to. What
It's just
was the
really
big difference here? We had an extra name, right?
yeah. We had an extra name.
Also,
We had
I feel like last time we had to use Zanwu instead of the
yeah.
Nyan.
Yeah. Yeah, so because we had to use Zhuangwu and the Nian, it gave us it because we had to use Zhuangwu instead of the Nian, we had to discard an extra card, which is unfortunate because I really would have liked to have kept the Droll in that matchup, but that line guarantees you the Kalika Crystal Wing setup.
Okay, and if that wins the game, I guess it was worth doing. But Droll could win the game also, I guess. But hard to know.
That's true. It's just hard to say. There's
right.
also yeah.
Is there a particular line we should run through also for anyone that's a very specific line, or?
Mostly I would try to run through the Crystal Wing Shen lines, but those are a little complicated to do without the proper hand. So I'd need to there are very weird hands where you can get Crystal Wing and Shen.
Let me do an unshuffled an unspecial hand. We'll just run a test hand and just say, what do you think you can make with this hand?
What do I think I can make with this hand? Okay, so let's see. Normal to Nian. Let's just take it as far as we can go here. Normal Nian, activate Lily targeting the. Yep, and then send those two.
Which one?
And then send a Chuche and a Kinglong. And then activate the Kinglong, and then just discard the driver because it's.
That's what it's here for.
Yeah, it's discard fodder.
Indeed.
Add the Lulu. And then discard the driver. And then activate the Kinglong.
Oh, the one in hand?
One in hand, yeah. Because we need to search a monster here. So then activate. Send this Wanwu. And then add. Thinking on the add here, because like we could add Lily, but Roshi guarantees us the Crystal Wing line, the Shen Crystal Wing line. So add Roshi to hand, and then activate Chuche to make Ludus. I mean, okay, wait.
Oh, too late.
It's fine, because we could have not used the Chuche here, and then just made Coral Dragon instead. But I'm always scared of Nibiru, so this way it plays around Nibiru. So just make the Zulkin here. Because you'd make Crystal Wing as your 4th summon here. And then you set the Chuche, and then that makes Crystal Wing summon 5. And then... Do we want to be greedy here? No. Just activate the Roshi targeting the Nian, and then send a Kinglong to graveyard.
Would we bring something back?
No, because we already have Shen. So, and we already used the Chuche, so we can't like level modulate to make it a 3. Yeah. So then synchro into Shen.
And that's that.
And that's that, yeah.
Okay, a lot of these combos seem to use like full hands, and it doesn't seem 100% consistent on whether you can make Kaliga versus Shen.
Yeah, you really have to pick. So like, if you read the matchup that Shen Crystal Wing is good enough, then you can make the board. If you read the matchup like Drytron, for example, where Kaliga is just really strong, you make the Kaliga board, but you do have to pick. God, there's some really, really high roll hands where you get literally everything, but you would need to, I think you need to have like 4 names and a card you can set.
Like a Desires or something?
Yeah, it would just be like a lot, and I mean, maybe, but it would take a little while to like get the gears going, and even I have trouble like uh, making my way through that line because like it's so rare that it happens where you get everything.
All right.
Um,
So it was a very complicated deck. Definitely a lot of
yeah,
solo practice, I think, is definitely
a lot
doable in
of
this deck.
solitaires, a lot of moving parts, especially playing through interruption, pivoting into what you need to make is a really sort of skill intensive part of this deck, which is part of the reason why I like it. Like I like the fact that the deck isn't so easily interruptible that like one hand trap ends your turn, assuming you have like a strong enough hand. I like the fact that there's toolbox elements, right? It's not the same game every turn, um, despite how some of our games looked. There are very sort of novel interactions and novel circumstances that can come up when you're playing this deck.
Yeah,
Um,
like Vermilion popping your own guys to add your own tuners back, and what's the
yeah,
other big one there? The M7 plays.
yeah, a lot of the M7 plays are really strong too.
Those are more like important mid game, I think, versus like start of the game, right?
And also Chuche is just really broken, so it's worth playing just for Chuche like on its own because Dryden every turn is very strong.
Yeah,
um,
there are also like lines where you have to like keep Shen Shen on the field already, so your cards get banished on purpose so that you can keep it live, I think.
yeah, so there's one play that I like to do with really awkward hands is where if I have like if I have both of the level threes, I make like so I would make Stardust Warrior or Coral Dragon or one of the two synchros that draws me a card, and then I would add the Kowloon off of the Lulu that I would add off the Kinglong, and then I hold the Kinglong or the city. I hold the city, and then I make the Shen Shen, and then I activate the city with Shen on field. So I have two names that are already banished because Shen would banish the city at resolution, which is a very funny. Also, you can King Long your own monsters in this deck, so if you ever just need an extra name, you can just King Long your own monster.
Just to get an extra banish card, just like negate Shen Shen. I know there are plays where you negate the Kaliga, so you get a like attack.
Yeah. Also, if you have King Long, you can negate your own Shen Shen, so you can make Shen first, and then make Crystal Wing that way. Um, yeah, so like that's also a way where you can get to Crystal Wing Shen reliably and consistently. But um but it requires like very specific hands and like sometimes it requires that you don't have that you would like already have to have the Chuche in hand and a city. Um
So
so like
it definitely this is going to require a lot of solitaring and seeing if you ever need to do these things. Nothing we can really accomplish in one video
yeah,
without
so
orchestrating them, I guess.
it is a lot of a deck that you have to practice a lot I'm I'm not and I mean like I am an expert. I've topped with this deck several times now. But even I still make mistakes, and even I have like poor hands. I misplay, and like sometimes there's just not much you can do. But I really would encourage anybody who thinks this deck is cool to pick it up. The core is rather cheap. The only thing that is sort of expensive is the talents. They are slated for a reprint probably in the Megatins. If you can't play talents, then I would just consider more Foolish Burial Goods, more hand traps.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah. Phantasme is all right in this deck, just because like there's a lot of link-based stuff going around, and it helps you like unbrick your hands too. So Phantasme is not a terrible option in this deck. Ghost Spell is really strong too, because it's one thing that didn't come up a lot is sometimes I'll normal summon the Ghost Girls, especially if I have multiples in hand, because they're level 3 tuners, so they trigger the Nian Nian. They're pretty good stat lines in terms of what the BWs actually need. Yeah, so in terms of hand traps, I would probably prioritize Ghost Girls over something like Phantasme, but Phantasme is pretty strong in this deck as well.
Depending on how this is received, would you be down to do another one and just do more practice games?
Oh, of course, of course. I would really like to show off, especially like longer, grindier games where I open relatively well. So like, there's actually like a good back and forth, and I can show off like a lot of the cool removal and flex that you can do in this deck. But
Because I don't think we had the best hands in any of
yeah,
this.
is unfortunate. But I would definitely like to come on again if you'll have me.
Oh,
And
for sure. Whenever I get around to editing this and putting it up, we'll see how people feel
if the
about
viewers,
it, and we can do it again for sure.
yeah, if the viewers want it, that is. So just let them know down in the comments. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
So I think we're done here.
Yeah, man.
At least I'm done here.
Yeah, I appreciate this. All right, everybody, make sure you click the like button, subscribe, and all that other fun stuff I forget to say throughout the entire hour-long videos, if people are still here.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye. All right.